I'm thinking of the ones that were like miserable to wear. That was probably Mona for me. When I did a shoot, I think it was like low 30s, high 20s Fahrenheit. And it was at this like abandoned, well, it's not abandoned, but it's like an old sugar mill that has this kind of like old wood aesthetic. With the temperatures like too cold, glue, like super glue, can stop bonding things.
Oh
so
no.
things like just started to come apart and like because they were fragile 3D printed pieces, it's like a star would fall and it would just shatter on the ground. And it was also super cold. So even if you brought glue, it would not bond because you need the super glue to be in like the temperature range that you can use it at. So
Oh my. Wait,
that was most awful one.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Gacha Show, where we talk about everything and nothing related to gacha. I'm here today with my friend. She's an amazing VTuber and cosplayer. Everyone, meet Kyatorin.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
everyone.
Yeah, nice to meet the audience. So how are you? What you been up to?
I've been doing well. It's already March, but I still feel like I am recovering from the holidays for some reason. I've been doing a lot of traveling recently, so mainly been touching grass. So haven't streamed in a while, but I think it's good to like take a break and do some traveling. So next week I'm going to Japan for Holo Expo, and it's gonna be my first and only time. And then Taiwan afterwards. So yeah, I think it's really cool because I feel like Hololive is what got me into VTubers for the first place. So I feel like this is like the ultimate like fan event for me to attend once in my life. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. I'm like, I wouldn't have known about any of this or like entered like the streaming world and like met you and like anyone else I know. So
For Holo Expo, are you going as a cosplayer or just like for fun?
I'm going for fun as a cosplayer. So this year, in order to like get into Holo Expo, I think it's always been a lottery. So that's like, and it's not an easy lottery. I feel like you have like a 50% chance or even less to get a ticket. So it's different from like American conventions, because here, if you're going to Anime Expo, you could buy like a 3-day pass, but in Holo Expo, you have to like enter a lottery, and then only when you win the lottery can you buy the ticket, and it's only by single days. So it's only Saturday and Sunday. If you wanted to go both days, you have to enter the lottery for each day. If you're going with friends, you'd want to try to win like the same day lottery.
Oh my gosh.
It's also like stressful, and I entered for like both days, and there's also 4 concerts going on. So you have like 6 things you can enter for. So I entered for all 6, and then I lost all of them. And then there's a second round, and I did it again, and I lost everything again.
No! This is like Gamba.
Yeah, it's like Gamba, and you can only apply for 2 tickets max. So your friends, like if they already have someone they're going with, it's hard for like people to have extras. So I was insanely lucky that someone was willing to sell me one of their extra tickets, because people will usually use like that ticket to trade for like a concert ticket if they don't have a concert ticket, or getting like another day if they only won like 2 tickets for the same event. It's really difficult, but I made it happen. And then this year was the first year they're also requiring a lottery in order to cosplay as well.
What?
So
Wait, so the lottery, you have to enter in a lottery to get into the expo, and then you have to enter in another lottery to cosplay?
Yep. And if you don't have the ticket, you're not allowed to cosplay.
Oh, wait. Oh, wow. So it's so like, what is Holo Expo exactly? Because it, like, when I think of expo conventions, I think of it like a fan thing where anyone can just come and cosplay whatever they want, dress up however they want. And then they're there for like the main like thing, you know? So for example, like Anime Expo, they're there for anime, but they're free to cosplay or not cosplay. But in Holo Expo, it sounds like you have to get permission. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so you have to get permission. It has to be a Hololive character.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's my first time, I guess, going to an event where it's just like one company's kind of like, I don't know, brand. And so what they have at the expo, I guess it's like similar to what they would have in the exhibit hall at Anime Expo. So they'll have like booths, theme setups, maybe it's like, oh, this is what this character's room looks like, or here's like all the upcoming figures we have releasing or merch. And then they have some stages where they'll have some events as well. And this is different from the actual concerts. The concerts, it's like a real concert with like the like software and stuff.
Like the holograms, 3D.
Yeah.
Oh my god, those are so cool.
So that's like what the expo is going to be like. But the cosplay lottery, I think when people found out, most people were pretty upset because it was already hard to get like a ticket in the first place. And then like imagine if someone last year, like Holo Expo 2024 just ended, and then they're like, oh, well, for 2025, like I want to work on this cosplay. And then imagine they've been working on it just to find out like a month and a half before the expo that now you have to win a lottery in order to cosplay. It was really scary, and I was like super lucky that I was able to win those 2 tickets for me and my friend who I'm cosplaying Fuamoko with.
Okay.
So,
wow. Okay, I was
like,
gonna ask what cosplay. Okay, that's awesome.
yeah, so I think we were like really disappointed at first because we're like, wow, we like got so far, right? We booked our flights to Japan, like we got the passes to go on that day, and then we were like, we'll be so sad if we can't cosplay. Like we're grateful to just get in, but I think like the cosplaying, we like that's kind of how we got involved in the Hololive fandom. So I think it was like pretty important that we would also get to cosplay since it's just super fun for us. But yeah, and the reason they did that is because in Japan it's not socially acceptable to like be out and about in public in cosplay. So for most events, you have to go there with like your suitcase with your cosplay inside and change into cosplay at the venue and then change out before you leave.
Wow. Actually, I feel like maybe because like, I mean, you know, in America, you see people wearing cosplays outside. And then like on social media, I have like the impression that people walk around in Asia in cosplays. So to like hear it debunked, I'm like, oh, like all the I guess you could say like stereotypes that you see on the internet, it's like not true. Because I had no idea. That's interesting.
I'm not sure if this is like 100% true, but I think it might just be Japan. Because when I've gone in Taiwan, like no one cared. You could ride the subway and cosplay. But Japan, I think, is like particularly strict in my point of view. I think maybe if you were like born and raised in Japan, you don't think it's strict, but as an American where you could just like show up in cosplay, there doesn't even have to be an event for you to like go out and cosplay and do shoots and stuff, or like people would cosplay and go to McDonald's, right? So it's like no one really cares. It's people have seen weirder, so
yeah,
it's not like a big deal. But in Japan, I think since it's like a society that really values like uniformity and like not disturbing the peace, it's like it's frowned upon because you're kind of like creating a disturbance.
So speaking of like cosplay, actually the whole thing I wanted to ask, were you like a cosplayer first or like a VTuber fan first?
I was a cosplayer first.
Okay.
I started cosplaying in 2017, and so I got the thing that like got me into cosplay was Rubee. So if you've heard of like the show Rubee, RWBY. That's what got me into it. And I just wanted to attend like a convention once in my life and cosplay once in my life, because like I think I just want to try like all these new life experiences and then see what it's like. So I did it, and I went to my first convention, and it was super fun, and I was really inspired by all of the really like super good cosplays I saw. I think as a kid, like I always liked playing dress up. So I was like, wow, I want to do this again. And I want to like learn how to get good at making things. And that's kind of where it started. And I was cosplaying. So if I started in 2017, I learned about Myth in 2020. And that's like how I learned about VTubers.
Oh, wait. When you went to the Rubee convention, who did you cosplay? Sorry, I might have missed that.
Oh, no, all good. So Rubee, they also have like their own convention by Rooster Teeth. So it's called RTX, and that happened in Austin. And that one, it doesn't have the same rules as Holo Expo, where it's like you must cosplay a character from our franchise. But I mean, people, I guess, would do that anyways, because that's like what they're fans of and what they want to go for. So I did cosplay at that one as well. And I think I probably went to that, I think like 1 or 2 years after I started cosplaying. I like started going to like regular anime conventions that weren't by like one company with one brand, but I also did go to the one that's by Rooster Teeth when they were still active.
What character did you cosplay?
I cosplayed as Blake Belladonna. She is a cat girl.
Oh, cute. Hey, nothing wrong with that. For Halloween, I am a cat girl because that's the easiest.
Cat girls are cute. Like, who doesn't like a cat girl?
I was like, I mean, my cat girl cosplay Halloween is definitely not as great as like you know, the cat girls in anime. But yeah, cat girls are great. No, that's awesome.
And I chose her because she has like black hair, looks fairly normal, and I think since that was the first time cosplaying, I was like, I don't think I'll ever be one of those cosplayers who's wearing like pink wig and like super frilly made outfit. I was like, that's just too much. Like I want to do something that's a little bit more like normal. But I mean, here I am now cosplaying the girls with pink hair, wearing frilly maid outfits.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I think I was just felt like, oh, once you're like at that level, you're like really into like really deep into cosplay and like into anime. And I think I was a pretty casual anime fan at the time. So I didn't like see myself being as involved. And then in 2020, that's like when everyone was kind of at home for COVID. That's when I found out about VTubers and Hololive through YouTube. I was blown away by the technology. I couldn't believe that you could have like static art and then turn it into something that could move with motion tracking and rigging. And that was just like, I don't know, incredible to me. It's still incredible to me that that's like something that someone thought of. And then now I feel like anyone can be a VTuber nowadays. Like models are pretty accessible if you want like a pre-made one. Or like the free ones that come with VTube Studio. Yeah.
Now you're a VTuber, literally yourself, you know. Beautiful model, beautiful rigging, everything.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, like you had said, nowadays it's so much more accessible. There's a lot. There was actually one, I guess it's a pre-made model by Suika. It's like it's super good price and it's so customizable. I was like shocked. I'm sure people who are on the VTube side, you guys might have seen it. But there's an artist who made a very customizable model, and when I say it's customizable, like coloring, the hair, everything to the core, the accessories, and then of course like the booth models as well. You know, back then, early like V2 days, I feel like there was less, right? Because it was just starting and becoming more popular overseas, and then now it's like it's great, it's everywhere.
Yeah, I like it. I think at the time when I was interested in becoming a VTuber, they did have the booth models, but I think when anyone starts VTubing, you have that dilemma where you're like, oh, do I like start with like quote unquote something like cheaper as a starter model and then save up money and get something that's like your perfect customized model? And for me, I thought like I just want to do it once and have it be something I really like. When I found out about Hololive and Holomyth, I was like, oh, that's super cool. But I was watching all these videos, you know, like, oh, watch this video before you become a VTuber. And one of the most important things was like, if you want to be a VTuber, make content, you should actually find out if you even enjoy making content or streaming before you spend the money. Then in 2021, that's when I started streaming for the first time, doing face cam. And that was just like my experiment to see like, oh, do I even like this? Because if not, then there's no point. And I did. I loved it a lot. And so then I was like, okay, I think this is good. I really enjoy streaming. So I'll like go ahead with looking into getting a VTuber model. And so I made like a concept document of like things that I liked and had things like picture examples of like, oh, I really like this eye color, like this eye shape, and these are like the kind of clothes that I'm really into, and laying out the specifications. So my artist is Nokoyama6, and they did both the art and rigging, so it was pretty convenient because it's like they did everything. I didn't have to have like art that I was sitting on for a while and look for a rigger, because I don't know how it is for people nowadays, but I always felt like it was kind of difficult to find riggers who are available.
Yes, I will say this model, the art was done, and then I would say about a year and a half, it was done rigging after that. So yeah, like the art would sit for a while, and then the rigging would take another time, you know? So yeah, it's still the same. Definitely a lot of people book ahead of time if they can.
Yeah, so I think that I was like lucky to have one person do it, so I didn't have to shop for like two people I was interested in. I don't know if you did the same thing, but I had a spreadsheet of like artists I liked, whether their commission was open or not, price range, and
Yes. Yeah, I was like back then I remember saving and bookmarking every artist I liked, and then I would send out emails like, hey, are your commissions open? I'm interested in a model, like, are you free? It was such a different scene back in 2020, you know? So I was actually emailing like Japanese artists, because at the time I felt like there was a lot of VTubers and their artist was Japanese, so I would have to go to like Google Translate. I think there's a it's called like DeepL. Yes, and I would type in my message, translate it, and then email it to them, and yeah, that was me quite a lot until I found an artist, and then the rest is history. I've seen some artists like do it this way too, where they open it and they take like applications. So
I feel like the pros and cons of that is like, oh, if this artist picks, you know, the concept I have, then I know like they really like it, like they care enough to want to take it on as a project. So that's what happened with the artist who made my model, and they're also Japanese, so I had to do the same thing with the Google Translate. They did amazing work. I actually feel like when I got this model, I felt like they had super underpriced their work.
Oh.
But I think even like when you get skebs, it's like I feel like it is a lot cheaper working with Japanese artists, and like the quality is really amazing. And I think I just got really lucky because after that, I think they never opened their commissions again to the public.
No.
And yeah, so it's like I made it in like some artists, they'll always take like returning people, right? Because like they made your model, so they're the only one who can kind of like change things up about it. But yeah, my artist was like super amazing. Quality was great. The communication was great. And yeah, since it takes time to like find someone and get everything done. So I started streaming in 2021, and I think it was 2022, which is when the model was ready.
Oh.
And I also watched his videos and, you know, like VTuber tips, and people were like, just start streaming. You can figure out all like the fancy stuff like lore later.
Yeah.
You can choose if you want to like debut, but you shouldn't like have that prevent you from streaming, because it's probably never going to be completely perfect if you're trying to like get everything together. So I don't know if it's this way still in the VTuber community, but I know some people like they would keep things like super secret, right? Like you wouldn't see the model, you wouldn't like know anything. It was kind of like the silhouette reveals. I guess like the con of doing that is if you haven't streamed and you don't have a community, who's going to even know about your debut, right? So I also had to have that discussion within myself of like, do I want to be anonymous or not? And how I thought about that was like, oh, I really do like my community that I have as a face cam streamer. And I felt like they all wouldn't be like, oh, my immersion, you ruined everything, I'll never support you again because you want to do VTubing. And so I was thinking like, well, I just like to keep the community that I already have. And then in terms of anonymity, I feel like once you choose you want to be completely anonymous, you have to be extremely careful about everything. If you go to like any in-person events, like you don't know if anyone's gonna like leak your face or photo. And I think you could try to like control things yourself, but I think once you go to like an in-person event, then it's a lot harder to keep that. The internet can be a scary place, and I feel like sometimes if you're anonymous, people will try even harder to like find out who you are, which is really scary. So I thought like, okay, if I already tell people this is who I am, like I don't think there's anyone who's gonna try to like find me and dox me because they're like, oh, she's trying to hide it so much, so like I'm gonna try even harder to find out who she is. There's no wrong answer in terms of choosing if you want to be anonymous or if you want it to be kind of like an open secret, if that's who you are. But for me, I felt like the open secret, it's a lot easier. And there wasn't anyone in the chat who was like, oh, you know, like, did you know this person is actually this face and this person? Like, no one cares. They're just like, oh yeah, like we know. And I think that's kind of what happens for bigger, like super well-known VTubers, is that people like they'll know maybe their past persona, or if they have already like a job as like a voice actor where they've promoted it with their face, and people just respect it. Like these are two different creative entities. It's not a big deal. I don't know if like the VTubing space still has a lot of people who are upset when their immersion is broken, but I feel like if it's like a chill person, and I feel like it's in your best interest to have a community that does have like a touch of reality where they're not going to be mad at you. Yeah. I think that's like a good way to go.
I feel like it's changed a bit. Like I think a lot more VTubers are open to like revealing themselves. I personally haven't seen a lot of fans upset at that, you know. I think it's a way for them to like I see a lot of VTubers say, oh, it's so people see me as like a human, not like an anime waifu, you know. Yeah, I was like, I see it change quite a bit, but I actually wanted to ask you, do you apply it to yourself? Like, because you're a cosplayer and you're a VTuber, do people know Kyatorin cosplayer and VTuber, or do you try to keep it separate?
I think I pretty much just let them merge together. In terms of like social media, like Instagram and Twitter, I do have them separate, but I think that's just easier to keep content more uniform. Yeah. But it's not a secret. So I think when I meet people for the first time, I might give them like a sticker of my VTuber. So as a gift. So I think like people see it as like the same thing, but in terms of like the character, it's like, oh, if I do want to do lore one day, like there can still be this fantasy element.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's like the beauty of VTube, you know, like I see like IRL streamers make VTube and then they have their own separate lore for that VTuber. And that's like that's the joy of it, you know, you're creating a character, a persona, and you can be anything you want, literally. And so yeah, I also remember you cosplayed as your VTuber before. And so I was like, that was a really awesome cosplay. Amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, when you were talking about like the split between like Basecamp and VTube, I like realized for a second, I was like, oh wait, like do you split them or combine them? Because there's also a lot of, I know another cosplayer and she streams with her VTube model and it kind of like mix match, you know, but it's still like one community because people will come and watch her because she's a cosplayer and she's a VTuber. So it's like a 2-in-1. You're okay with me talking about cosplays, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
I love talking about cosplay.
Okay, cool. Aside from your journey when you first got started as cosplayer, what was like the first ever cosplayer that you saw? Like who or what? When you saw someone cosplay for the first time, you were like, wow, I want to cosplay as well.
It was actually one of my friends from college. I saw her cosplay for the first time and I thought it was like super cool that she like put a lot of effort and like creativity into making this costume. And I feel like the people that I knew in high school or middle school who were like really big anime fans, this is gonna sound really mean, but some of the kids were like super strange. And so I think then it made some other people who were into anime like kind of, for example, if someone dressed up as like a cat girl at school, but then they would hiss at people like in public, just stuff like that. So then I'm like, oh yeah, like I don't really like see myself as the same as that. So I think it made like a lot of people kind of keep their love for anime kind of on the down low because you just had that association of like kids who were a little bit interesting in
back
high
then.
school.
Yeah, back then for sure anime was not as popular because I got made fun of for liking anime. So I everyone was big on K-pop. So I was like, man, no one likes anime. I guess I'll get into K-pop. And then now it's like anime is a lot bigger. But yes, continue. Yeah. I get that.
So yeah, I saw my friend do it. And then I was like, well, you know, now that I think about it, it really does seem a lot just like crafting, makeup, sewing, and also seeing like photo shoots. And I was like, that sounds really fun. So I feel like when I saw her do it, I was like, oh, like maybe there is, you know, like people that I could be friends with and it's not like people I would feel uncomfortable around. But hey, if you're still out there like hissing at people and meowing at people in public, you do you. Like I'm fully supportive of that.
I feel like I saw that more back in like 2015. And so nowadays with like TikTok, Vine, and like Musically, I see people do that, but like as a meme way. Like they're not serious, they're just like memeing, you know. But definitely maybe like back in 2015 era, I've seen it a lot.
I guess people who would use the word like senpai very seriously, like imagine you're in school and you're like a year older and they'll be like, oh, senpai. And you're like, please don't call me that.
You know what? I actually wonder, it's like a canon event. Like growing up when you're really into anime, I feel like at least everyone has gone through a point in their life, like just like once, you know, experiencing or they have done it themselves. So yeah, it's like a canon event, you know, part of growing up and liking anime. Yeah. Because I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm self-reporting, but for sure, I remember when I was like watching Naruto, I at least did the Naruto run at one point because I was so into it.
It's okay, me too.
I was like, I might have not said uwu or like senpai, but I did some cringe stuff growing up.
I'm imagining you saying uwu and senpai like very seriously.
Oh my gosh. There was actually a kid in my class that would say that very seriously to my teacher who studied in Japan, but he was not Asian. And so yeah, I thought it was interesting because the student kept calling him senpai, but I mean, it's an experience, you know.
Imagine you meet someone who's been like VTubing or streaming longer, and you're like, oh, well, I guess that makes you my senpai now, and like, talking like that forever.
You know what?
Call you senpai.
I feel like because we're both anime girls, it could work. It could be pulled off easily. We could do it right now, Kat. Ooh.
I don't like where this is going.
Okay.
Wait, you should do like cat girl, like yeah.
Stop!
Ooh, Nya, hi, it's Yuji Nya.
Oh my god. I'm too flustered. I can't say it back.
I see all the blush. Just say it.
Oh wait, hold on. I gotta increase my blush. There we go. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'll stop. I'm so embarrassed. Or I feel flustered. Because you had mentioned anime and cosplay. What kind of anime were you into around the same time?
I'm trying to think. I think I was into a lot of like, I don't know if it's like normie anime, but like definitely the popular series I binged at the time when I started cosplaying. So this was like Hunter x Hunter, Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood.
Popular.
Yeah, and all this. But I think in terms of like character design, I didn't really want to cosplay them as much because I think the ones I like now, I either like really girly stuff or like cool stuff. I think those are like the characters I like the most. And then I feel like once Genshin became popular, like I super love the outfits. I thought they were super beautiful. And I mean, they still are really beautiful. And I think I like wearing things that are pretty or like really cool and edgy. So.
Oh, so, okay. Can you list out all of the Genshin characters you've cosplayed?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I cosplayed Keqing, Hu Tao.
Oh, my girl.
Ganyu.
I love Hu Tao.
Yeah, I'm going by like regions to think about it. I have a Shenhe cosplay. I haven't worn it out yet, but I do plan to hopefully in the future.
Set her free. Let her be free.
Set her free. And then from Mondstadt characters, I cosplayed Mona and Rosaria.
Wow.
And then from Inazuma, Yaimiko, Raiden Shogun. And then from the newest region, Natlan, I cosplayed Chaska.
Oh, that's awesome. What was your favorite Genshin character to cosplay?
Definitely Hu Tao, because she's my favorite character like in the entire series.
I love Hu Tao too. Did you do the Lantern Rite this year?
I did. That's like what kind of got me to play Genshin more this year.
Same. I only do it for the Archon quest, but then when I found out that it was Hu Tao again, I played it. The only thing is I didn't get her skin because in my mind I was like, I don't play the game enough to justify me buying the skin and not getting on the game again. But maybe in the future, if I'm back in, I would buy her skin. But Hu Tao is my favorite as well.
Since like I like her a lot, that justified me in buying the skin. So that's why I got it.
I felt like a fake fan. I was sitting here like, man, like after I finished the quest, I was sitting there and I was like, okay, do I buy it or do I not buy it? And then I was like, okay, but I love her. Like I have the Bu Tao light. I have like Hu Tao posters, Hu Tao stickers. In my mind, I was like, okay, let's be realistic. I could spend this money on a different gacha game. And then that's what I did. What about aside from like Genshin and anime, you mentioned Hololive. What Hololive characters have you cosplayed?
So the first character I cosplayed from Hololive was Gura. And then I feel like after that, then I started cosplaying a lot more. So I've also cosplayed Mori Calliope. And I think that was one of my big props that I worked on that I feel like I was like, oh, if I'm working on something that's taking this much work, I feel like I'm like really committed now. So, and then also Pekora, she's like a snow bunny theme. Yeah. Fuo Moko with one of my friends, and I cosplay Mokoko and she's cosplaying Fuowa. I do have a Raura cosplay that I'm still working on.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That one's not ready. Cosplay Marine Hosho.
Oh, okay. That's a sneak peek for the future.
Yeah, sneak peek for the future. Oh, and I also have a Suisse cosplay, which I haven't finished yet. Just working on it a little bit at a time.
Wow. Yo, Hololive fans in chat, you guys should check out Kyatorin. All the girls you named, I've watched them at least like once. And Suisse's music is amazing. I love Suisse.
Right? It's very, I don't know. I feel like it is like super like solid composing as well in the songs. Like they're all very catchy. Like I think some songs they have like very memorable like melodies and rhythm, and I feel like a lot of her songs are like that. It's like some people they can like produce a song but it might not stick as much, but I feel like a lot of Suisse's songs like really stick.
Yeah, and like when you hear it you just know it's her. I don't know what it
her
is.
Voice.
Yeah,
like, I feel like her voice is like super unique. Like I can tell it's her, and she has a super like strong vocals. So
and style too. Like I know she released like music and stuff the past year or something, or maybe like the past few years, but I haven't been listening to it. And then one day, like when chat requested it on stream, I was like, wait, is this Suisse? Because I've never heard of this. And I checked and I was like, oh my god, it is her. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love Suisei. So out of the Hololive characters, which one's your favorite to cosplay?
Oh, this is like really tough. I think probably like the top two is going to be Gura and Fuamoko. And I think Gura because the outfit is like so comfortable. And I feel like everyone I meet who's like a Gura fan, they're just like really chill and silly people. So I always have fun cosplaying her. And then for Fuamoko, I just feel like it's fun because I'm always doing it with a friend. So I think like I think cosplaying is even better when you're able to do it with a friend. It just makes it like so much more fun. And I also think people are like a lot more excited to, you know, see if people have like matching cosplays or a group. It's just like super cute. So I think those are my top two. It's still fun to cosplay like other characters individually, but I think when you have like a buddy who's doing it from like the same game or like same brand, it's like everything. You can even like take silly pictures outside of it, and it can just be like a meme.
Yeah, I saw you. I think, did you do like a TikTok with your friend? Well,
I have, yeah.
Yeah. All like the TikTok stuff. And I know when we had met at, I believe, AX, when you were Gura costume, you were like shaking your tail and it was just so funny.
Throwing it back.
Yeah. You were throwing it back and I was like, wow, like the tail moving, it just like, it adds to the move.
Was it hypnotizing?
It was hypnotizing. I'm pretty sure I still have a video of it on my camera roll when we had met up. What was the hardest cosplay you've ever done?
I think Genshin cosplays are the most difficult to wear because they're very fragile. They're like very elaborate and intricate. And I think if people want to buy like a pre-made cosplay, there's so many good Genshin ones that are high quality, like right out the bag, and you don't really have to fix them. Sometimes when you get a cosplay and the quality's not as great, you might have to like redo attachments to make it more secure or tailor it to fit your body. But I think because Genshin is so popular, there are a lot of manufacturers who wanted to make really high quality versions. I'm thinking of the ones that were like most, it sounds bad, like miserable to wear. And I still had fun cosplaying it, but I think just wearing it was really uncomfortable. I think that was probably Mona for me. When I did a shoot, I think it was like low 30s, high 20s Fahrenheit. And it was at this like abandoned, well, it's not abandoned, but it's like an old sugar mill that has this kind of like old wood aesthetic. And I was freezing. And so that cosplay, it like did not keep me warm at all. And also with the temperatures like too cold, glue, like super glue can stop bonding things. Things like just started to come apart, and like because they were fragile 3D printed pieces, it's like a star would fall and it would just shatter on the ground. And it was also super cold. So even if you brought glue, it would not bond because you need the super glue to be in like the temperature range that you can use it at. So
wait,
that was the most awful one.
do you have like a picture of it from the photo shoot?
I do. Yeah, I have a picture. Yeah, I'll find one and I can send it to you.
Okay,
But I was like freezing. Everyone there was shivering because there were other people who were also there cosplaying Genshin, and we did like a couple group pics. But sometimes you can get away with like making it warmer, like if it covers all your arms and your legs, maybe you could wear like a Uniqlo heat tech.
Or like a fleece legging.
Yeah,
maybe.
Fleece leggings, exactly. And I think like Mona, you just couldn't do that. So in the picture, I'm very still, but I could guarantee I was like shivering at the same time.
Oh my gosh. Oh, what was it? Beauty is pain. You know,
Beauty is pain.
You were trying to get the perfect shot for Mona, but then in the meantime, you suffered because it was cold.
Beauty is never comfortable. That's not the most miserable, like weather-wise shoot I've done. I cosplayed Shinobu from Demon Slayer. And this is when it snowed in Texas like 3 years ago. And so I think it was like 20 degrees outside. It wasn't actively snowing, but there's a lot of snow. And Shinobu's shoes, they're like tabi socks, right? And then the straw sandals. So my feet, like, I was stepping through the snow, so my foot was completely soaked in essentially like freezing water, and it was really cold. And I remember that shoot was also super miserable because like I had just wet frozen feet. But the pictures turned out fire, and like 3 years after doing that shoot, like I'm not cold anymore. But I have the pictures.
Whenever I'm in like a scenario like that, I always tell myself like, oh, what doesn't kill me will make me stronger. Like I will come out stronger after this. and a lot of people will be like, oh, you're coping. Well, yeah, I'm coping. I had to make myself feel better in the moment.
I think I've done like 3 shoots now in the snow, and each one I was like super cold at. But what I did for some of those is like you could stick adhesive like hand warmers to like inside of the cosplay to keep you warm. It didn't make like you completely comfortable, but I would say it helped a little bit. And I would say each time when like before I was gonna go do the shoot, I was like, oh, it's so cold, I don't feel like going. And then when you're actually out, you're like, wow, I'm so miserable, like why did I do this to myself? But then later when you have the photos and you're like inside your own place and you're warm, you're like, wow, I'm really glad I like stuck it out, because that's the only way it's gonna happen. And all the snow shoots I did were all in Texas, so when it snowed, it was super rare opportunity to shoot. So usually like a photographer friend would just DM me and be like, hey, do you want to like shoot the 1 or 2 days that the snow is out?
Yeah, it looks magical too. I bet. Yeah, because like the white, the reflection of the snow, and then like whenever it's sunny on a snowy day, I find it to be the most beautiful sometimes.
Yeah,
like, the lighting
is
really good.
Flattering. Yeah, because the snow bounces back all the light.
Yeah, when I see people like photo shoots in general, they carry that. I don't know what it's called, but it's like it looks like foil, but not really. And they'll
the reflector.
Yes, yeah. They'll reflect the light off onto the person's face from below, so it shines from like below, I guess, to make it brighter. So yeah, I see that all the time. So I think of like that's what the snow is for me.
Right? Yeah. So I think snow shoots are nice. There's some people who actually like plan trips to places that it does snow with like their cosplay to shoot. So some people will go to Colorado and bring like their like Christmas themed cosplays or characters that live in the snow. But traveling with cosplay is, I would say, like really difficult and scary because you don't know if things are going to break, and it's just like not as comfortable. But if you want like location stuff and you live in Texas, that's kind of like your only option.
Have you ever handcrafted costume from like scratch, or do you buy it and then do you modify the costume?
So I have done a couple ones from scratch, and the ones from scratch was because it was like a character that was like so unpopular that there aren't any
Wait, what
pre-made
characters?
cosplays. So I used to be really into Fate, like Fate Grand Order, the game.
Yeah.
And my favorite character from that game is Tomoe Gozen. And she's like, she's an Oni, and she has this like samurai armor plating. She's like a pretty niche character. So there wasn't anything that existed. And at the time, I think I'd been cosplaying for maybe 2 or 3 years. And I was like, well, this will be a great opportunity for me to get better at crafting and working with foam. And the only way for me to make that character come alive was to do it myself. So sometimes you don't have any options. So you're like, oh, if I want to make this happen, then I got to do it myself. And also at the same time, I was a student, so I didn't have like money to commission people. So I was like, I really got to like work on it myself. So that one was all done from scratch. And I think it like turned out really well. I'm pretty proud of that one, especially when I was just only had like 2 or 3 years of crafting experience. What I can say is from like hand making a cosplay, those are your most expensive cosplays ever.
Really?
Is like
Wow.
the ones that are handmade, because buying all of the supplies and like little trims and materials can really add up. Because for example, if you need like just like 2 gold buttons, but then you can only buy buttons that come in like 30 count, so then you're spending like a lot of money for these like 2 things you need. Or if you like need a new tool like a heat gun or Dremel, or I don't know, if you want to get a 3D printer, it's like those are all kind of like big upfront costs. When it comes to painting, it's like, oh, if I need just like a little bit of paint, but I need like 10 different colors, then you have to buy all those bottles of paint. So I think the advantage of getting a pre-made cosplay is that those companies, they buy everything in bulk. So
Yeah.
the material costs can be like way less. Another thing for like making cosplay yourself is that it's not just putting things together. There's so much trial and error that you have to do as well. So like patterning or envisioning in your head, like, oh, I'm going to make this attached to this piece like this, and you try it out and it doesn't work in like real life. So those are the most time consuming and expensive. And I would say it was still definitely worth it if that character is one you're super passionate about, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to cosplay it, unless you are a working adult and you have money to commission someone else to make it for you. But if a character is super popular, like for example, Genshin characters, or in Hololive, the more popular characters like Gura, they have really good ones that are already completely made that are pretty good quality. So I would recommend doing that. For example, like Kuching from Genshin Impact, there could be like 10 different companies making a Keqing cosplay from Genshin Impact. And the prices can vary like super widely. So one being like the super cheapest, where maybe all like the details on her skirt are just printed onto flat fabric, versus the more expensive ones where there's embroidery, 3D printed pieces to add dimension. I think like the prices for those are just, it's like such a good deal, because you're not going to find all of those fabrics yourself and like take the time to pattern and like 3D model and 3D print everything yourself for that price.
And paying attention to details too. Like if you miss a detail, that's on you, you know?
It's on you. I think most people won't notice, but I think when you're the cosplayer and that's like a character you really like, sometimes you're like really sad about it, because you're like, oh, I just wanted, you know, it to be like perfect for me. I think the best way to do things now, at least like in my opinion, is to buy it if it is available and then modify it. So I would say like some of the Hololive cosplays I got, maybe if something's like, there's like a dress with accessories, but then, and the dress is like pretty good, but the accessories could use some work. I feel like it's really worth it to remake those sometimes. So some of the ones you can get, it might be like flimsy, and you could do it would just look a lot better if it's a 3D printed piece. So sometimes I've like modeled things. I had to learn, as a cosplayer, you learn so many things. So that was also like, I could, you know, ask a friend to model it for me, or I can try to learn how to model things myself. So I think when it came to like 3D printed pieces, how I went about it was like studying the reference sheet to like make sure the proportions were right, and then going to 3D modeling program, modeling it, and then asking a friend with a printer to print it out. So you're like take a lot. Yeah,
you're like giving me like the inside of like what it's like to actually craft, because usually when I see people hand make their own costumes, I do know they have foam and 3D printer and like fabric, but then I don't know like the process, you know. So I'm sure you told me like a little bit, not like everything, I assume. And that sounds stressful.
It is stressful when you have like a deadline. Stressful. It's like called the cost crunch, when you have like a event coming up and you wanted to have something done for it. For a cosplayer, is like you don't have to wear something new every time, but the most pressure I felt is like, for example, you're doing a group cosplay together with a friend, and you're like, oh, okay, well, like now, you know, I have to be ready because I made this commitment to this friend to cosplay this character with them, or maybe you have like a shoot scheduled, so you don't have a choice. I mean, you can always like say you can't do it, but for me, I just like don't like disappointing people, especially if you only go to like a small number of events a year, and maybe like a photographer you want to work with is also only going to be at that event. That's like when it can get really stressful. But ideally you work on things at your own pace for like, oh, I'll wear this in the future, but you don't have like a set event. But when it's set, it's like, it can be really difficult.
What's the average amount of time it takes for you to make a costume from scratch? Like a cosplay from scratch?
Oh man, I feel like I can't even give number of hours. I could give maybe months, which is like, it's not like every single day. I would say like minimum you would need like 3 months. I know some people can do things like faster, but the reason I say 3 months is because if there's like specialty materials and you're ordering from China, then like that could take you like 2 to 3 weeks to even just get the materials, which is like almost an entire month. And then I'm saying this from, I guess, someone who also works like a full-time job. So if you are like a full-time crafter, I would say like the timeline is going to be different for you, because that's like your job and what you spend your 40 hours a week on that would be spent at like a corporate job. And then I think patterning probably takes like the next longest, because that's when you're just cutting out shapes and trying to see if things work or not.
Wow.
And that can be stressful. I think once you're able to pattern it and you like figure out a plan, then you move into construction. I think construction is also the part where you have that reality check of like, oh, I really thought that, you know, maybe like this glue or this Velcro was going to work with this material, but it didn't. After patterning, I would say like construction is probably the second most longest time. And then once you get to painting, it's like super easy.
Oh,
at least that's like how I feel. Painting is really easy. It's like a lot like the prep work, and I guess like thinking about how you want to make stuff is harder. Yeah, even like before you touch any materials, you might have to sit down for a while and just like draw it out as to like, how are you going to attach this piece, especially if you want to bring this cosplay to an event. So for example, when I cosplayed Mori Calliope, I bought her like outfit from Uowo, which is a cosplay brand. But then for her scythe, I made that by myself, and I knew I wanted to bring it to Anime Expo and Katsucon. And so now I have to build it in multiple pieces. So I had to think about like, where do I want the pipe that's going to be like the core structure to break apart, and then you take out your suitcase, you measure like the dimensions of the diagonal of your suitcase. I didn't study to be an engineer in school, but I feel like it is a lot of engineering where you're like, oh, how can I make this work? And if you want to be really fancy, people putting lights in props too. I made Keqing's, well, it's not her like signature sword, it's the sword that's from Inazuma from that set. I think it's engulfing lightning.
The engulfing lightning, that one.
Yeah,
I think I used that on Raiden.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, that's the stuff. What's the sword called? I'm gonna see if I can find it.
The Mist Splitter.
Yeah, Mist Splitter. Yeah, that's the one. So that one, I put LED lights in it, and that was like another that was also like a challenge, because then you have to find like the right kind of foam where the LED lights are going to shine through, and figure out where you're going to like hide the battery in the prop as well. So that's like a lot of just things that you're like thinking about, like construction, like how it's going to break apart if you ever want to bring it somewhere as well. So I guess like to go back to the original timeline, I guess like an outfit, minimum 3 months if it's like 1 month to get supplies, another month to like pattern and build, and then the last month probably for painting and attachments. I feel like cosplayers probably think the same way. You think it's going to take a lot shorter than it actually takes. Probably because we're all just like time optimists, where you're like, oh, it really can't be that hard. Like, I just got to figure out how I want to build it. And maybe if I work really hard, I could just do it in a couple days. And then it actually takes like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's like what I tell myself for, at least for me. Okay, I don't cosplay, but with YouTube videos, it takes time. And in my mind, I'm always like, oh, I can make this video in like 1 day, and it's like, psych, it'll take a week and a half, So
I've definitely been like super delusional before about like I guess how long it's gonna take me. I made Marine Hosho's like pirate hat from scratch, because the one that came with the cosplay was just like not it. It was like this flat piece of fabric that was shaped like a taco, and so I was like, oh, this has no structure. The ratio of it, like proportions, are really bad. Like, it was really small and does not like accurately reflect how big the hat's supposed to be. And she's a pirate, so I feel like the hat is pretty important. I thought like, oh, I think it's only going to take me 1 night for me to figure out how to like construct this and pattern it out of foam. And it took me like a week of trial and error, because imagine like patterning, you're like cutting out essentially stuff from a flat piece of paper and turning it into a 3D shape to like see how you're gonna make it. I feel like I've had many a night like that, where it's like, how hard could it be to make this like strangely shaped item?
The stress is coming to me.
For that one, I also bought the base cosplay, but then some pieces I replaced. Like her name tag was like 3D printed. All of her accessories were 3D printed, and I like casted resin to make the gems, because like some of the ones that you get with the cosplay, maybe they tried to find something that was like kind of similar but not completely accurate, and it might be this really cheap plastic. And there's nothing wrong with using that if like you want to, but for me, I think if I'm putting a lot of work into bringing this cosplay to life, it's like I just want it to be really good instead of having some pieces that I'm not happy with. But yeah, the hat was definitely a challenge, like making a flat pattern, bringing that to like a 3D shape, and then wrapping it with like a leather vinyl, a stretch vinyl. And then for her like feathers, it's like a gradient dye, so then I also had to buy like dye and make like this dye soup on my stove. And
I think of like
dye like the fibers.
Like a crazy like a science experiment, but then you're making a cosplay. Like actually, like how you mentioned, like you didn't sign up to be an engineer, but now you're like calculating everything down to make sure it fits and make sure it looks right. And then now you're mixing chemicals to get the right color for it.
Sometimes you're forced to learn a lot of like new skills, but I think it's like that's really good for your brain to like learn things, and it also I think gives you greater appreciation into like construction for even your like daily clothes. You're like, oh, like the patterning for this is like this. This much thought had to go into it, and I think you're a lot more aware of like design things in general.
Yeah, I think like, so for me who doesn't cosplay, like I don't really see a lot of details. I see the final results that people cosplay in, and I was like, oh wow, but I never thought about like the process and how much it takes, And like you said, it takes a minimum of 3 months?
3 months, yeah, I would say.
When do you usually start planning your cosplays to be done on time for like conventions?
I haven't like been, I think, scheduling like events I want to go to. I would say in the past like 1 or 2 years for planning those. I haven't been making them like specifically for an event, so I haven't had to have that timeline. So it's kind of like, I had the Mori Calliope cosplay, you know, out for a while, and then
Yeah.
you find out like, oh, she's doing like a concert, and so then it's like, oh, perfect, I have this. And maybe if you're not done, then you're like, okay, I gotta like rush and finish it. That's kind of how I pick who I want to cosplay. Or if I'm like working for an event, then I'll just have to cosplay what I'm being like hired to cosplay as.
Hey, I was actually going to ask, like, have you ever just, is it one of those where you're like, oh, I want to cosplay as this person, and then down the line you're like, oh, it's perfect because then now there's an event.
Yeah,
and then I can dress up. Oh, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what? Now that I think about it, it's hobby first into like cosplay. So
yeah, because I think you also don't know about events like that early enough in advance, like a year, to make something for an event. Unless, like, for example, I'm talking about like Holo Expo, and you know, like everything is Hololive themed. So maybe there's this outfit you really want to bring to life. But characters, they're also coming out with like new outfits, you know, every few months. So if you plan a year like in advance, there's also a super high chance that something else will come out that you like more, and then it wouldn't like matter anymore. So
have you ever did a gender bent cosplay?
I've always wanted to, like, I always wanted to do I guess not necessarily like a gender bent of like a female character, but I've wanted to cosplay as a boy before, and I just haven't done that yet because I feel like I've been really busy with like the projects that I've already wanted to do. But that's always been something I've been interested in because I wanted to see like, oh, could I look cute as a boy, or like attractive as a boy, and do like boy makeup.
Dude, there's so many cosplays when I was at AX. And I'd be like, wow, like they're really handsome, and then it turns out it's a girl cosplaying it, and I was like, wow, like the proportions, the way they were able to make themselves look masculine with the makeup is crazy. It's so crazy, so talented. I'm actually curious, what male character would you want to cosplay?
I think since I'm like on the shorter side, probably like shorter boyish characters. If I'm choosing something from Genshin, I feel like a character I'd be more likely to cosplay would be someone like Kazuha. So it's like, yeah, so it's like he's a little bit on like the shorter side. I definitely would not be able to do like a large like Bara man. I'm also not really into like super muscly Bara characters in the first place. But yeah, I think I'd probably pick something that's you know, like they're boys, but some of them look a little bit more feminine as well.
I was actually going to say, a lot of the female cosplayers that I see where they cosplay as a male, it's because they have feminine features.
Yeah, right.
For example, like Link Click, there's one of the guys. Okay, I don't know if he has feminine features, but this cosplayer, she was able to pull off his cosplay so well. And I was like, wow, it's just like pretty features, you know?
Right? Yeah.
I know with Starrel Adventuring, I've seen that. There's actually one that I saw. I don't know what kind of cosplayer they are. I think I saw they were like a Russian cosplayer. They cosplayed as someone, I think I'll hate them. They cosplayed a male character from one of the Holo games, and it was amazing. Like, I would have never been able to tell.
I would say that when you're talking about like female cosplayers who cosplay guys and they do it like so well, I think it's because like a lot of girls tend to have like more experience in makeup. So I think they're like better at like you as like a starting base. A lot of us aren't really learning from scratch. So I think they're also doing their makeup and like styling in a way that I feel like is appealing to like the female gaze. So I think that's why it's
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so then it's like extra attractive because that's like, oh, that's what like girls think are attractive. And so they already know, like as a girl, you're like, you know what's attractive to you.
Oh my
so
gosh.
then like them turning themselves into that, I think that's probably why like there's so many female cosplayers who cosplay guys all the time, and they're just like so popular with the ladies too, because that's exactly what the girls like.
Oh my god. I wish I had like that makeup skill to know how to do that, you know, because it's all about details in the end and like the shading and stuff, and like what you had mentioned, like cosplaying, you pick up a lot of skills during it, you know, so you're constantly practicing all this stuff. Yeah, I need that. I want to try that.
Commissions can be very expensive, but it's not like unfairly expensive because those people are using like so much time, and also they're like past skills to make something like really nice. But a lot of the times if you don't have like a lot of money to commission, you're like, oh, if I want this done, I just got to do it myself, and no one else is going to do it for me. So that's why you're forced to learn.
You know, but at least like in the, like when you look back 5 years from now, you can be like, oh wow, like I did that. I can't believe past me, or at least for me, I would be like, oh, I can't believe I was delusional enough to do that. And then I pulled it off, and then it worked out. That's what I always tell myself.
I think bringing things to reality is like something I really admire in my friends. Or it's like if I hear one of their plans of like, oh, I want to cosplay this character, and maybe it involves like a lot of things that they haven't done before. I think I see that in a lot of my friends, that everyone has such a big willingness to learn and like think about how to bring something to life. And I think that just comes from like liking a character so much that you're like, oh, I love this character so much, I want to do a really good job. Yeah, I don't think there are really people that I've met where they're like, oh, I don't know how to do this, so I can't do it. I think everyone's been like so willing to like, oh, so I guess I got to learn how to 3D model, or I guess I got to learn how to, use this tool.
Yeah, that just goes to life though in general. It's like if there's something that you want, you end up like learning how to do it at least. It's a bad comparison, but if I'm hungry, if I want like pasta, I would end up learning how to make pasta just because I crave it. So I kind of think of it like that with cosplay. Like, as long as you're eager enough to do something, you put your mind to it. That's actually what my dad tells me all the time. Like you can make it work and you put your mind into it. I was like, oh, okay. But
the mind is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. That and delusion.
Right? I think like even with VTubers that I know, it's like one day they saw like maybe VTuber and they're like, that's so cool, I want to do it. And then they had to go through all these steps of like character creation, finding the artist and rigor. And it's like, wow, you did that all by yourself. Like no one just handed it to you. Like you wanted to make it happen and then you made it happen.
Yes, that's pretty much everyone, starting out, even with stream, it's like, oh, like you see something that interests you, you try it, you like it, and then you keep pushing. Besides for cosplaying, what other hobbies you like to do?
So this one isn't going to be that interesting, but I really like playing a lot of like single player RPG video games.
Wait, but people play games all the time. I play games.
I feel like it's not interesting because it's like in the cosplay and anime sphere, it's very like, I feel like it's understandable because if you're cosplaying, you're probably cosplaying from a game, which means you like that game enough to cosplay. So I would say it was just not, for me, I feel like it wouldn't be interesting for me because it's like, I already like games since I'm cosplaying characters from games.
Yeah.
Not that you have to like have enjoyed the media in order to cosplay a character. I think people can cosplay whoever they want to cosplay, regardless of like how deep they are into a fandom. I really like playing a lot of like RPG games with plots that are supposed to like blow your mind or change your way of thinking. I really enjoyed like games like AI Somnium Files, Danganronpa, Persona, Nier. So they're all like single player, but I think the plots are very interesting and like cause you to rethink like some things about society, like in Persona. Have you played Persona 5 Royal?
I played Persona 3 Reload.
Okay.
And for Nier, I played Replicant, but I never finished it. But all those games that you mentioned, it's at least for me in the gacha space, whenever people play gacha games, they also play those type of games as well. So it's not boring, just saying.
Yeah, I think because like, for example, in like Persona, these are not major spoilers, but like some themes, it's like, oh, is it better to face like a difficult reality, or would you prefer to be in a world like where there's just like happiness and no pain, even though it's not real? Or like in Nier Automata, I feel like the question for that is like, what makes you human? And I think all of these, like, I think it tends to be like Japanese game makers who create all these stories, but I feel like they can be very philosophical, where like you finish a game and then you're just like, wow. Did you play Fire Emblem Three Houses?
I didn't play a lot of games, but I like, again, in the gacha space, people do play that. I feel like the only game that would go hand in hand with what you're saying might be Amori to me.
Oh, I played Amori. I just finished that game.
Wait, oh my god.
Yeah. Dude. I really love that game too.
Yes. You know what the worst part is? I wanted to know the plot of the game. So I instead of trying to 100% the game, I stuck to the main thing. And then once you finish, you can't really go back. If that makes sense. I didn't create a separate save file, so I saved I saved over my progression, and then I was like, okay, let me go back. It's like, wait, you can't go back.
You can't. You'd have to start from scratch.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Amori too, but I did save at multiple points because I had a feeling like, oh, I'm about to make a very difficult decision, so I should save right here in case I want to like change my decision later. But yeah, Amori, I think games like that, like very like emotional games, I think those are like my favorite.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I feel like you don't get to build that camaraderie with like a multiplayer game that way. But if you do talk to other people who also enjoyed the game, I feel like there's just so much for you to like talk about because you went through this like almost like entire adventure, same adventure. So yeah, outside of cosplaying, like playing playing those video games that are supposed to like, I don't know, blow your mind at the end, or like just be like, wow, that was like such an amazing way that they did the storytelling. And then besides that, this is not plushie collecting. It's not really like a hobby. It's like just spending money, I guess.
Wait, hold on. What's been the newest plushies? Because I've been doing the same.
So I think like there's different groups of plushies that I really like collecting. Recently, I've been getting a lot more Pokemon plushies because I think some merch that was originally only released in like the Japanese market, they're releasing to the US like Pokemon Center website. It's like a little bit of a delay, but I think they're doing a better job at like bringing those items to an American market. So I would say most recently Pokemon, I actually just got a Galarian Ponyta plush in the mail that I ordered yesterday.
Cute.
And then in Japan, I have like a lot of plans for like plushies I want to get from the Pokemon Center.
Oh, kind of Pokemon.
So Pokemon, they have this line, it's called the Comfy Friends line, where they make these like plushies out of super soft fabric and they're like more life size. So I got their Espeon plushie. And then they also have like an Umbreon and Eevee one. And I only got Espeon because I was like, oh, you know, I shouldn't spend that much money. And she's like my favorite of the three. And then later I was like, no, she needs her boyfriend Umbreon. So I'm going to get that one in Japan because it's a lot cheaper. And I have to like sleep with this stuffed animal. So I'm going to Japan, like not bringing any. And I'm just going to like buy a bunch there.
Oh my God, cute. I love that.
And then also like I'm really into Hachiwari from Chikawa. So collecting like Hachiwari plushes, Miffy plushes,
Miffy.
Hololive plushies. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
dang.
I mean, maybe it is a hobby because I'm like hunting things down online. If something was like a release that came out a long time ago and they don't make it anymore.
I love plushies, but I always feel bad because they end up like in my closet or like they end up taking space. Yeah, or like because I don't have enough space in my bed. So it's kind of like, okay, I'll put it in my closet with the other plushies where they're like nicely, you know, in line. And but I will say I have been really into like gacha blind boxes for those plushies.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've heard of Labubus.
Yes, I heard of Labubus.
Yeah, that and there's a thing called Lulu the Pig. I've been really into those.
Lulu the Pig. I haven't heard of that one. I need to look it up.
Oh, it's a cute piggy. And let's just say I've been obsessed. Although it feels bad because they're like $20 a box. And I'm like, oh, every time I go to the store, I can't help but get one. You know, the blind boxes, they're just so cute.
I'm looking at Lulu the Piggy. Actually, I've seen Lulu the Piggy. I just didn't know his name.
I didn't know the name either until my friend got another one for us to match. She called them Lulu. And I was like, oh, do you mean like the Labubus? And she's like, no, like Lulu. And I was like, oh, I had no idea. Yeah, I've been super into blind boxes, at least. Or yeah, something that like you can wear on like your bag, like a keychain.
Right. I did actually buy like a complete set of, do you know what like the Nancy figures are?
Nancy figures.
It's NANCI.
Oh, wait, yes. Wait, I have 3. I think I have 3 or 2 somewhere on my desk.
I bought the whole set.
Oh my gosh.
I wanted like the pink Ninetales girl
3.
because she like looks like my VTuber, and I was like, I felt like all the weights would be kind of equal, so I wouldn't be able to kind of like figure it out by weight, because I do some blind boxes like that where it's like I look at the collection, I'm like, oh, this one would have to be the heaviest. And so I was like, I don't think I can like figure it out like that. So I just bought the full set.
Wait, oh my gosh. I didn't know they were called that, but I have 3.
Which ones do you have?
One is holding a sunflower behind her back. One is like, I don't know if it's like a drum or like an instrument. She's sitting on it. You know what? It reminds me of one of those like when you go to the temple and when you pray, you have those pillows. And it kind of looks like that. So she's sitting on that one. And then the other one is holding like a cherry blossom flower, and it has cherry blossom on her head. And there's a cat. There's a cat snoring behind her, like leaning against her, and it has a butterfly on its face.
They're so detailed.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. Now that I think about it, another one that I was really into was, is it Tokidoki? Those unicorns?
Yeah, Tokidoki.
I freaking love Tokidoki. Every time I see it, I try my best not to buy it.
I think they probably have like blind box sets for those too, right?
Yes, they do. I love the style of Tokidoki.
Do you have like an acrylic like organizer for your figures?
No, I kind of just line them up against my desk next to each other, and then because I have a shelf, I'll place them up there as well. Maybe I should get one though in the future.
Yeah, I bought like an acrylic shoebox. It's like a clear shoebox, and then you can buy acrylic risers. So then you could make like your own little staircase and then have your figures on there.
Oh my gosh!
I would say it's super worth it.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna write that down really quick. Let me also make a note to cut this part out. The fact that I'm typing down. Okay. Oh, all right. Sorry. Enough with the hobbies and the gacha stuff. I went down deep talking about my collection and stuff.
Hobbies, spending money.
I know, right?
On cute stuff. Spending money on cute stuff.
If you think about it, it's kind of like instead of spending money in games for like waifus and husbandos, it's like physical.
Yeah, you know? Like you have it to look at and you can hold it.
Exactly. Actually, now that I think about it, what other gacha games have you played over like the course of however many years?
Besides Genshin, also Star Rail. I play Star Rail whenever like a new like Trailblaze mission comes out. I guess like main story stuff. That's like when or if a new character comes out and I don't have any like tickets, then I'll have to like grind and get like tickets. So recently I got V Herta. That was like the last character that I wanted. So I'll play Star Rail, and then besides those two Hoyo games, NIKKE. I think those are the only three. I used to play Fate Grand Order a lot, but now it's mainly those three.
For NIKKE, they have a lot of exciting collabs coming up, like the Stellar Blade. They have the Evangelion right now. For Star Rail, did you play the newest patch, the one that came out last week?
Oh no, I haven't played the one that came out last week.
Oh, okay,
I'm just caught up on before last week's patch. I like went to the New World, the one with Greece, Rome.
Yes, I almost said Rina Suda from Wua. It's Amphorius.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That beginning patch is super long. Just a heads up. It took me 10 hours and change.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but they introduce you like the world and what it is. And then the next patch, the one that's recent, is pretty much straightforward, straight to the point. Because people were not happy at how long the 3.0 was. For me, it felt like they were trying to cover every basis, you know?
Yeah.
Just to like build up to a bigger plot. So yeah, you meet like everyone and you talk to everything pretty much.
Yeah, it was a lot of like puzzles. It's like, oh, okay, now let's go to this other room that has this other puzzle.
Yeah, that was 3.0. But at least with the recent patch, they reduced it quite a lot. So once you get past 3.0 into 3.1, it'll be a lot easier for sure. Phew. So with talking about gacha games, I actually wanted to know what your favorite waifu in Husbando is.
So I feel like I don't really have like a husbando. My last husbando I had was Merlin from Fate Grand Order. Oh. And then after that, it's only been waifus.
Okay.
I just think anime girls are really nice to look at.
You're not really the only one. I agree.
NIKKE is definitely like Scarlet is gonna be my number one.
Oh my god, wait, you cosplayed as Scarlet too.
Yeah. She's really cute,
beautiful.
and I think her design is pretty fire. So she's my number one waifu from that game. I also really like Red Hood. I guess these aren't going to sound that special since this is also was voted in the popularity contest, but they're popular for a reason, okay? So, yeah. I feel like everyone from like Pilgrim's Class in NIKKE, they're like characters I like, and you know how like in games when there's like characters and they're from like a special class that makes them like the strongest or like most special? I don't know why. I just like characters from that because they're like canonically like more powerful.
I'm like that too, especially in I want to say for Zenless, there's a character, Jane Doe. I mean, she might not be the strongest, but she's still very strong. So she's my top. I feel that though.
Yeah, so it's like I like having the characters that are like really strong. I also like the bunny twins a lot from NIKKE. So like Noir and Blanc. Like characters who are a set too, like, you know, twins or sisters. I like it. Like in Star Rail, even though my favorites aren't like Japard and Serval and their little sister Link. Wait, what's her name? Lynx? Okay, yeah. I was like, I wasn't hallucinating that. It's like, even if they're not my favorite characters, I still think having like the family is like really cool. And if you have them on the field together, they might not be good together like meta wise, But I just think it's cute when like characters have like relatives, or I didn't pull for Sunday, but I think like if you had a team with Sunday and Robin, it's cute because you're like, they're siblings.
Yeah, no, that is me too as well.
And Star Rail, I would say like probably Herta's like my most recent favorite, because I like also like characters that are really smart. So it's like I like characters who are really strong. I like characters who are like canonically really smart, because they're always like really sassy, and I don't know, they also are kind of like have a big head, which I think is fun in a character. For characters that are furries,
oh,
I really love like Foxian girls a lot.
okay.
So
You know what, Mace? I was like,
yeah,
when I hear
they're
furry,
cute.
I think of like furries, but then when you say Foxian, I'm like, okay, wait, never mind. I totally get it. You know, like Ting Young, there's
Fei Xiao.
Zenless. Yes. Oh my god, yeah. And then Zenless is Lycon. And then now Ting Young has a 5-star form, Fugue. Yai Miko is a fox girl too. Fox girls are powerful, man.
Right? There's just something cute about it. What is your opinion on like anime characters that have 4 ears? Like they're a fox girl and then they have like 2 fox ears and then 2 human ears.
I actually never think about it, you know? I feel like it's one of those that I kind of just ignore because it feels, I think of it like it's an accessory until someone points it out, and then it's like, oh, I think the ears are just an accessory. For me at least when I see that. What do you think?
I think I like prefer it when they only have like animal ears. I think the 4 ears thing, it's like, you know, you'll see the character and then they'll have a new art where you see the human ear and you're like, wait a minute, now they have 4 ears instead of 2 ears. I mean, I think it's like this with some characters, like the hairline extends to where like our human ears would be, and then they just have like the animal ears on top.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about like all the NPCs and characters I've seen that are like that. Yeah, I don't think it bothers me until someone points it out, and then it's like, oh, now I can't not unsee this. You know, I see this forever, and then I think about it too.
I'm gonna send you this picture. It's might be like a little bit disturbing, but it was like it was a picture of Mokoko from Fuamoko and Hololive without her hair, and it has like the 4 ears, and it was like,
God.
I'll just send it to you.
Okay.
I was like, that's not what I think of like all characters with like 4 ears.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Wait, I'll make sure to share it so that they see what we're seeing too.
The skin on the ears on the top, I'm like, that can't be forgiven. It's
Oh my god,
creepy.
it's as if you just ripped off the fur. Or like shaved off the fur.
Right. My VTuber canonically only has 2 ears.
It's definitely like a an attention to detail. Like you had mentioned, like after you cosplay, you pick up on these details. For me, I actually noticed like I do. If I were to ever cosplay, I would miss out on a lot of details just because I don't see it until I see it on someone else. But now that you mention it, I'm like, oh wow. I think maybe from here on out, I'll look at characters differently in like the Holo games if they have 2 ears or 4 ears.
Yeah, because you're like, the 4 ears is kind of creepy. It's not natural.
Yeah, it's like which ears are they listening out of?
Right? It's like when people have like the headphones and they're like, do they go on the ears on top or like on the sides?
That is so true. This is like stuff you think about when like you're showering or like before bed.
Yeah.
Delusion. I was like trying to think about the ears and stuff. Anyways, with that being said, I have one last question that I want to ask, and this can be for the audience as well, because we were talking about cosplaying. What advice would you give to someone who wants to get started with cosplaying?
All right, my advice, your first cosplay is never going to be perfect, so don't let that hold you back from trying it out. Your hardest judge is going to be yourself. I think a lot of people are afraid of cosplaying because they think, oh, you know, it's not going to look good, everyone's going to judge me and think it's like ugly or not well put together. But I promise every cosplayer that you admire who's been doing it for a long time, we have all had our first cosplays. I mean, you look back at it fondly because you're like, wow, like you improved so much from then. But I think it can definitely be intimidating if someone hasn't done it before because they're comparing themselves to people who've been doing it for years. So everyone's on their own unique journey for cosplay. If you are ever interested in pursuing it as a hobby, it doesn't need to be serious. It's really about having fun, but don't let being like intimidated or being self-conscious stop you from starting it, because it can open you up to like an entire new world of things that you didn't know. Like if I didn't start cosplaying, I wouldn't have even known about like streaming or VTubers or made like any of the friends I did online. Like I think about my close friends now where it's like, oh, I go to cons with them, or you know, like I talk to them on Discord and voice calls, and I wouldn't have met any of them if I didn't start cosplaying. So that's always like crazy how like I look around and I'm like, I have all this like anime merch and stuff, and like going to Holo Expo, it just wouldn't have happened if I didn't take that first step into trying something new.
There's a quote I saw. It was like, perfectionism kills like creativity. Like, if you're so focused on being perfect, you end up like losing focus, and then some people end up like not having fun, or it becomes like burnout, especially. That's great advice for sure. Just do it and then worry about everything later, you know, and then you can improve on it.
At the end of the day, it's just about having fun, and also like advice, like pick someone that you like, because then I think your love for that character or design, it's gonna push you to like want to do a good job and like research it. And I think it helps you feel like you're like closer to that character or whoever you want to cosplay.
My heart. I love Hu Tao, but I never thought about cosplaying as her. But if I did, I would probably be doing my best for Hu Tao. You know, I gotta impress her. You can borrow my Hu Tao
cosplay.
Don't tempt me, please. I was like,
if you ever want, you can.
Every convention, I always get asked if I'm gonna cosplay, and Hu Tao is probably the only character I would ever cosplay. Maybe one day when I cosplay, I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, let me know.
Anyways, with that being said, thank you so much, Kat, for being on here and for talking about your journey as cosplaying, giving us insight, talking about your VTube journey as well. I really do appreciate it. Is there anything else that you would want to say? Anything about yourself?
I think, maybe I can just like talk about my goals for 2025 is I think just like focusing more on like life experiences and friendships this year. I think being online is great, but I think remembering to like touch grass and look at, you know, life experiences you can do outside, and is really important for like, I think all of us that we can relate to. So yeah, recommend that. Going outside and actually like meeting up with your friends that you made online is like really powerful.
Dude, it is, yes. And that's like my biggest motivation for every convention. It's like every time I go out, I need to make sure I meet my friends, because I only see them like once or twice a year, you know?
Yeah.
And then like when you're online, everything just gets chaotic. Everyone's busy. It's hard to keep in touch sometimes. So yeah, making memories in person is what keeps a lot of people going, especially like for me.
Yeah, like I think just setting out time if you're like at a con to get like dinner with friends, it's so different getting to spend that like, you know, one-on-one quality time with like a small group.
Yeah. If you guys are watching, Kat has Instagram, Twitter, socials. Definitely go check her out. She has amazing cosplays. VTubers, very cute. Do you post a lot on Instagram and Twitter about like cosplays or something to see where they can find updates about everything?
I would recommend Twitter the most, because that's where I usually post like progress pictures or things I'm working on. I think Instagram, I usually post more like finished things of pictures from a photo shoot. If you want everything like nice and neat in one place, then you don't have to dig through my tweets, then Instagram. But if you want to see like what I'm working on the daily, then Twitter's the place.
Yeah, definitely go check her out. Thank you so much, Kat, for being on here. I really, really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Let's ask the viewers one question.
Hey everyone. All right, question from us. If you could cosplay any character, it doesn't matter about whether you could make it or money or time, who is your dream character to cosplay and why?
Let us know down below. Thank you once again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode with Kat. Make sure to check her out as well. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Bye!